Hello and welcome to this edition of the Storage Syndicate Spotlight. Excited as always to talk self-storage with you guys. Joined as always by Murph, better known as Steve Murphy, my sidekick every week on this deal. And we are honored tonight to have somebody join us, a rare person that has actually been involved in the building and creation of a billion-dollar business. So super excited to pick Toni Vanschoyck's brain. She is also involved in self-storage as an investor. We're super excited to figure out from her why it is that she got into self-storage, but really want to kind of explore her entrepreneurial journey and give you guys some really great advice and nuggets and things you can learn from her story. And so, Toni, just want to say thank you so much for coming on with us.
Yeah,
Thank
Toni,
you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you as well. I appreciate that. You're also a member inside our mastermind, and as soon as she came on board, it went to my head like, we got to get her on this call. She's a wealth of knowledge. And Toni, I would like to we always like to kick things off with where it all started. For you, where it all began. I mean, entrepreneurial roller coaster, right? So when you first got on the ride, where were you in life, and what was that big adventure you were taking on?
So I kind of think that I have a little bit more experience than like many people do in their journey of entrepreneurship. I started in the restaurant industry actually when I was 14 years old. It was easy to do on the weekends when you were in school. You could make some money. And I stayed in that industry for quite a while, all the way up until I was pregnant with my second child. But I was running busy restaurants. I was opening different restaurants in different states. And I just wanted to be more present with my children. Working in the restaurant industry, it was crazy hours, great money, but crazy hours. So I just had this inkling. My ex-husband and I, we started our own brick and mortars. We actually had two of them. And, but if you have ever been inside a brick and mortar type of situation, if your doors aren't open, you are not bringing in income. And so during this time, I was actually living outside of Detroit, Michigan, and a lot of our clients were, with the big three car companies and tier 1, 2, and 3 suppliers. And when they had that first recession and laid all of these people off, we lost half of our accounts overnight. So I had started my journey into network marketing. And you guys, I'm going to date myself. This was almost 30 years ago that I started, and I dabbled, made some extra money to make up for, some of the loss that we had with our clients. And I didn't quickly, but I quickly fell in love with the actual industry. And so throughout that process, I've always been in network marketing in some sort of capacity, whether I was just doing it part-time to supplement income until I, started to exceed my income. And then I went full-time into this industry. So fast forward in 2014, I launched and founded it's now the #1 premium hair care brand in the world. And it quickly scaled. And we are now a $3 billion company. And we just started here in the United States. Next week, we are opening our 10th country, which I'm super excited for. I actually get to go over there. Yeah, get to go over there for that. And in turn, what this has led to are some big, hairy ass dreams that I've had. And that is to be an author, to be a speaker. And, again, you guys, I am so excited. I have never been into real estate, never wanted anything to do with it at all. And when I started doing this process of discovery and finding, ways that I could help other people invest their capital gains, I mean, I want to do this more on a full-time basis because I really enjoy it. And I enjoy what it can do for people, on the front end and on the back end. And I haven't been that excited about trying something new and different really since I've been in this industry for a very long time. So I'm excited to see what happens. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I want to pick something that you said. So you've been in this network marketing, quite frankly, sometimes gets a really bad rap, right? Mm-hmm. And you persevered. Like, this wasn't an overnight success story. You said you've been in MLM. Like, and multi-level marketing, for those who don't know the lingo, for 30 years, started your own in 2014. Tell me about those first, figure 2014 is 9 years ago. You're in it 20 years before you decide to branch out on your own. First of all, tell me what those first 20 years were like. And then what is it that led to the decision to, go out and start your own from scratch, which is, talk about bold and hairy. That's takes some guts.
Yeah. So actually the first 10 years in this industry, I didn't understand it. I was a shit show. I didn't understand that you really had to serve other people in order to be successful. And even though I am a person of service, I still thought it was, all about me, I. And it took me a while to understand that you have to put other people first, and you have to help. You have to show them how to lead before it actually turns around and it benefits you. So that was probably about the first 10 years in network marketing. I was with another startup company that I had founded. It did well in the beginning, but the owners kind of took a, quick 180 degree turn, and they basically bled the entire company out of money. And so that kind of left a really bad taste in my mouth. I tried to start up, my own company. That was a massive failure. Lost a bunch of money in that. And then I had known, I partnered up with two other gentlemen when we launched Monate back in 2014. And it just was the perfect synergistic collaboration. And so, we had no idea that it was going to scale to the amount it has. We just started in the US. Our projection was to do 1 million in that first year, and we did 25 million just in the US with just a handful of products. But I knew that this industry was my God path, just because of the, over time I had learned about serving and about taking that to, the next levels and how I could help other people. Not only that, this wasn't my first startup rodeo. So I knew exactly what I had to do in order to, help others be successful. And at that time in my life, when we had committed to doing this, we were in a very dark place financially. It was ugly. Foreclosure, bankruptcy, spent every dang penny we had. We had like $1,200 in the bank. It was on a wing and a prayer. But I knew that this is what my calling was.
So that's scary stuff. And, that is such a typical entrepreneurial mindset. How do you not go back, especially when you've had the experience in the restaurant business, it's safe, there's money, you can live your life. How do you keep going forward off of, that type of situation?
You know what? It was through perseverance and grit. The one thing is that because I had been first I was a small business owner, right? Small business owner is completely different than an entrepreneur. And, you are still trading time for money at that small business ownership. When you're an entrepreneur, you're not doing that anymore. You're making your money work for you. And in network marketing, MLM, direct sales, whatever you want to call it, you can truly do that because you're using 1% of people's time instead of 100% of your own time to bring in money. So through the process of that, I was unemployable. I had made myself unemployable because I had done my own things. And actually, Steve, since you mentioned that, I was actually on a third interview for a job. I hadn't had one in 20 years. And that meant that I would have to be away from my home 50 hours a week, put my kids in daycare. And honestly, that would have been 50% of the money that I had coming in from that job. And I went and I prayed that I would be given another opportunity, that I could do something in my passion and in my love. And literally 2 days before that third interview, that's when this whole thing with Monate came together. It was like, I don't want to say the perfect storm because the storm always passes, right? This was like just the perfect synergistic, me coming together with Stuart and Ray and just having this, number one, we had this sense of community right away. We had this sense of knowing that we had something really great that we could share with other people and help them along the way. And so that's really it. There was anything, magical or anything like that. I just knew.
I'm going to just disagree with you for a second and say that there is something magical there, right? Like, and Steve and I, we do these interviews every week, and not to take away from your story at all, but the theme of burnt the ships, right? Didn't have another choice. Like, there was no other option that was going to get me out of the woods. And I didn't quit. Like, I just kept going. It's such a common theme among everyone that we talk to. So kudos to you for that. And because it's easy not to have you said your partners, the two partners' names, and I missed them. So I apologize for that. But so many people wouldn't even bother to leave themselves open for that opportunity, having gone through the hardships that you went through. So I find that to be, it's my favorite part of doing this show, is hearing those stories of how I just didn't stop. And you talked about it, bankruptcy, foreclosure, like every negative thing that I'm reminded, Steve, of when we talked to Jen and Jeremy Perkins, and Jeremy lived in a house for 18 months. He wasn't paying the mortgage on, and he tried to give the keys to the bank, and the bank wouldn't take the keys. It was because of what was going on in 08, 09, 10. It's that perseverance and that willingness to go through things that other people just won't live through. But then we flip it around and we look at where you're at now and what you've been able to do. And one of the things, and I guess this is the question that I want to get to after talking for a while, you don't talk about Toni. You talk about the people that you did this with. So my question is, how important was it for you that you eventually found the right group of people to build this business with, and seeing the success that you've had?
So when I started this, because there were bridges that had been burned in the past, I didn't go back to anybody that I knew. I had built new relationships that, we had failed, but there was still a bridge there. And so when we started this, I really the people that I went back to told me I was crazy. Don't get involved in network marketing again. You are going to regret it. You need to go get a real job. But there was just this voice, it was God's voice telling me, you need to do this. And you know what? I almost quit in the first year twice, walked away from all of it because it was really, really difficult. But the one thing that I can tell you is that, and anybody that knows me, is that I have perseverance. If I see something, and regardless of how hard the path is, I will stay on it until you literally, it's like wringing out a rag until you can't wring it out anymore. And so that's one thing that I can say, is that I can't take no for an answer. I won't be told what to do. I'm tedious. I have perseverance, and I have a no bullshit mentality. So I think that, because people that do know me now, and I have a lot of people in my business that knew me from my past, but we had a bad relationship, but I always had that character. And so character and integrity, when you're in business and you go through rough times, that's what matters. That's why people are going to stick with you. And I'm going to tell you that out of 10 years with this, we've had 3 really great ones, 3 that have been, sorta, and 3 really crappy ones. But when you build those relationships, relationship capital, equity, you're pouring into your people, that's when they rise, when times are tough or things aren't going the way that they should. And really, I think that's what makes the stickiness of what we've been able to do. And I've always had a sticky personality because I was always willing to help, that person that didn't have, that was being challenged, because I'm a problem solver. I find I'm a solution provider. And I'm also, like Malcolm Gladwell says, I'm the connector. So that is
Love
just
that.
one thing that I have that, I can find anyone that anybody needs, and I can find a solution to any problem. And if I don't know, I'm going to go to the experts and I'm going to find out from them and then figure it out.
Yeah.
Love that mentality.
So can let's give you a platform here to talk about the business that you're in, and also how many employees you have, right? So you're also managing a boatload of staff and employees, and I think you mentioned in commissions 1.5 billion out to in commissions also. So tell me about that, managing that and what that's like.
Well, it is. I don't want to find it's not, look, I live for my business, for my family, but it's all kind of, it's all together. So as a family, we work all of our businesses together. Now, yes, money is the main thing. So $3 billion, $1.5 billion in sales, $1.5 billion in commissions paid over the last, well, actually this was, a year ago. So I haven't looked at numbers since then. We've been able to impact hundreds of thousands of lives just from $300 to $500 a month. We just inducted our 91st millionaire in 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we have 11 decamillionaires now.
Wow.
But the life-changing money for people in a business model like this is the $300 to $500 a month. And really, that's how most people start. But the one thing is that, yes, I have systems. I actually built my own CRM because network marketing is a dinosaur when it comes to technology. Did that, built our own CRM so people could be more productive, and it's worked beautifully. But when you're managing hundreds of thousands of people, it's a trickle down effect. So I'm working with the people that I work with directly.
Right. Okay.
Then they work with directly, and we have a cascading down message. I think that we've done that very, very well. We have a lot of events, which are key in this industry, face to face, even though social media is great. I do a lot with social media. We have a lot of influencers in our business, but at the same time, it's where that stickiness goes in. Like, gentlemen, I love being face to face versus, being here, because there's a different dynamic. You feel each other's energy, that the whole protons and electrons and everything that they're giving off when you're standing next to them. And you can get that on a screen, but ultimately, if you truly want to
totally different,
anything, face to face is where it's at.
That's why Toni was such an impact in Philly. I mean, and it's funny to tell a quick little story to everybody. I've been living with my girlfriend for about 6 months, and the first, we met in November at the Philly Mastermind, and taking a shower, she has this shampoo and conditioner in her shower, and it's Monat. And I didn't use her stuff, and I'm always staring at it. And here I am in Philadelphia, sitting across from the woman who started this company, and I said, "No shit." So I'll tell you what. Now, Thad's wife is in hair. My mother has been in hair. I grew up around hair. I'm a little bit of a hair guy. Shampoo and that kind of stuff's a little important to me. And I do got to say, I tried that shit. It is my favorite shampoo, and it actually works really well with my hair. And that's tough to do.
So funny.
But that was just funny. I mean, I stared at it all day. Now I'm using it every single day. Well, every 3 days.
No, that's
fantastic. It's such a small world in that, and making those connections like that. I wanted to ask you, as you look back and you kind of reflect, how gratifying is it? 11 decamillionaires, almost 100 millionaires from your baby. How gratifying is that as an entrepreneur?
Okay, hold on a second, because I you're making me teary-eyed asking me that question, because we are all about service. And if I did not have these core 15, 16 people that are a part of this business, which has led to everything else that we have been so blessed with, it's just blessing people's lives. And, yes, is it through a great product? Absolutely. But really the gift is in the opportunity. And the one thing that I know without a doubt is that if people just, like I said, they want to have a shoe fund or they need a new car or anything like that, is that every time I see people reach just that first goal, I'm like a proud mama bird. I'm there. I'm right along with them. I'm locking arms. We're celebrating. But then it shows them that they are capable and confident, because the number one thing that people struggle with is self-esteem, and self-esteem, which is also, right there with confidence. And when they see that first win, that to me, that's the stickiness. That's the gratefulness that we have, seeing people do that. Like I'm working with 4 new people this month. And, again, you have to be coachable in this industry, and you have to, we have a system of duplication. And a lot of times people, because you're not held to a paycheck or hours or anything like that, it's a different mindset. It's true entrepreneurism 101. But when they get it and they see it and they get that first paycheck, it's like the confidence level goes through the roof. And when you see those light bulbs go on, when you see the tears, when you see the smiles, when you see the celebrations, there is nothing else that replaces it.
Love it. Oh, that's so cool to hear. I want to transition a little bit as I'm doing research for the interview tonight. Something you are extremely proud of. You wrote a book. Tell me what led you to do that, and we'll get to that, because kind of we know you because of this book, which is kind of a cool story we'll get into. But what led you down that road, and tell me a little bit about the book you wrote and why it was important to you.
So when I took this journey, if you guys don't know Mike Fallett, the book guy, he's your guy. Everybody's got a book inside of him.
We know Mike. We know Mike
Yes.
Fallett.
Yeah.
We love Mike Fallett.
Well, the reason why I know you guys is through Mike. That's how I met Joe. So the great thing about it is that I had actually met him. I had put it out there. I had always wanted to write a book. You guys, I can't sit still. I am not a person that can sit down and write 150 pages. I have ideas. I have, trainings. I have all of this stuff all over the place. So that helped me to streamline the messaging. And really, the first book was about simplifying network marketing, because there was nothing out there that said, okay, here's what you have to do. 4 simple steps. You lather, rinse, repeat, and you do those 4 steps again. And then you teach other people how to do those 4 steps. It was all over the place. You got to do trainings. You got to do this on social media. You got to reinvent the wheel. You got to do that. No. So that was, the first book that I wrote, because there's only really 2 or 3 good books out there with tangibles that you can take away about this industry. And there was nothing that was relevant, because there was nothing that had really been written in probably 5 or 6 years. And with technology, it changes. Yeah. So that was the first foray. But I'm going to tell you, my second book is probably the one that I'm most proud of. That's my signature book that I give to everybody. Look, hit me up on my Instagram. I'll send you a book. It's called Effing Simple.
The website. Yeah. The website's there for you to just go on and ask for it. So
perfect. But everything that is branding under Effing Simple. And the reason why I branded it under Effing Simple is because everything in life is truly simple. For whatever reason, especially now in this day and age, we want to complicate everything. No, we don't have to do that. There's a few basic principles, and that's what I talk about in every single book. And, that's what I thrive to share with our audience. But it was also just about getting the word out there.
Oh, that your passion and excitement when you start talking, it's got me riled up. I love that.
Thank you.
I want to take that back to what you mentioned a little bit ago, how you met Joe. Now, was self-storage investing on the forefront of your mind at the time, or how did that whole relationship build with Joe and yourself, and coming through Mike Fallett's inner circle?
So I actually went to a presentation, and it was mostly real estate investors, and I had no desire in doing this at all. I thought about, investing in houses, flipping them, doing Airbnbs. And I'm like, no, don't want the headache. I have friends that have done this kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's not who I am. So when I went there and I heard about, some things that were duplicable and that were simple, that caught my attention. So this was a year ago in June. And then I met Joe, I think it was in August. And he was on Mike's inner circle call. And there was just something about that call. And I messaged him and I had Mike put us in a conversation. I'm like, okay, dude, give me all the information. Because I was looking to pull all my money out of the slavery system. And I wanted to put it into something else. And so Joe and I had a conversation and I just knew this is what I was supposed to do. So since that day, we've actually become, really good friends. And then the opportunity came up with your coaching group. And, just knowing that, I had already built this trusting relationship. I wanted to meet more people, more successful people outside of this. I wanted to learn more about self-storage because I was really interested in it. And, my whole goal is I want to fund my own stuff, right? So I'm going to learn from the best. And you guys are the best out there. I mean, I've researched all of you, and even though I don't believe everything on the internet, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was about getting involved in their relationships, building that relationship capital, which, Steve, you and Joe have been absolutely excellent with. You were patient, you were kind, you answered all my questions. And trust me, I have a lot of questions when it comes up to things I'm interested in. I want to know everything about everything. So that's how this relationship blossomed. And I am just really excited.
I love that. And I think that, obviously we love Mike Fallett. Mike's written multiple books for Joe. I think Joe's on number 5 now or somewhere in that vicinity. But this idea of connecting people, right? You talk about that, serving people and then just finding that circle, right? And how quickly when you get into that circle and maybe you can speak to it. I was thinking about this earlier. You were talking about being live. And we always talk about that with mastermind events, right? It's not something you can ever explain to someone who hasn't gone and been involved in a live event. You can't put words to what it's like when you get in that room. But when you put yourself in those circles and you get to know people like Mike Fallett, invariably they end up introducing you to other people that become important for your growth in business or in life.
100%. And so I truly think that, with these smaller knit groups that you're involved with, and you get to know people and then they get to know you and you build that trustful relationship, you guys are going to naturally refer people to each other. And I think that that's more important now. I mean, you look at the way that advertising has changed. You look at the way that affiliate programs have changed, referral bonuses for the referrals and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I can't speak for you gentlemen, but I know that I'm not going to refer somebody that I don't trust.
Right.
So this is what this is all about. I think that this is like almost like, these smaller tight-knit groups are almost like a new way of networking and meeting new people and building those relationships. Social media, not so much anymore. I think that, there's a certain je ne sais quoi about it, but I don't think it's doing what it did in the past. I think that, things like this, that's where, people are going to, meet each other. They're going to grow personally, professionally. They're going to be able to grow their business. They're going to be able to grow their, just their relationships.
I think there's something, just tangible about when you go to a room like that, that the people that are in there with you are willing to invest in themselves. And for me, that's always, it seems it's such a small thing. And there are different levels, right? You can go to some live events where it costs you maybe a couple $100. You can go other live events where you're in it for 5 figures, right? Very easily. But in any of those rooms, that it was a person that was willing to invest in themselves. It goes back, I think, to something you said earlier about when that person gets that initial hit of self-esteem, and that person that's willing to go put themselves in that room, that they have that self-esteem already. right? And so you put yourself in those rooms, and I would say it's sometimes hard not to find people that you end up wanting to do business with, as opposed to struggling to find people that you want to do business with in those rooms.
You know what? Totally agree, Thaddeus. So I have been involved in a lot of chambers. I love doing local community events. I've been involved in other higher end, networking events like BNI and stuff like that. But it pales in comparison, because you are absolutely right. If you're spending, $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $50,000 a year, and you're investing in yourself, you already have that self-confidence, that one, that you can bring value to the table, two, that you can learn from other people around you that come from different backgrounds, that can teach you things that you may not even know that you want to know. So I think that's a huge fundamental thing, is that, you know what, find your tribe, but you got to level up, because these groups that I'm in now are nothing like the chamber and the other groups that I've been in before, because of the bottom line, it's relationship investment with each other.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to come to Vegas, because I think that event's, I'm confident to say that event's going to blow your mind. It's going to be great to learn the storage stuff and really get out there and meet that room. I'm kind of still riding off the high from NOLA. That room was amazing out there, and it's going to be twice the size out in Vegas. So I'm excited for you to get out there and have that be your first Syndicate Summit.
I am too. And knowing that, one of your goals, obviously my whole role with Legacy is to connect people that want to develop self-storage with a project. And that's the first I've heard of Toni wanting to front her own project. I'm excited not only to help you do that, but also to put you in a room with 5 or 6 other people that are already doing it. So you get that automatic confidence that comes from, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you're the type of person that's wired, like, you see somebody else do something, you can do it, right? Like you're not going to be scared to bite something off that somebody else has already done. So I'm excited to have you in a room with Jake Rosenau and Nick Van Dyke and Martin May and Norbert Lengel and Brady McDonald. And, of course you'll be with Joe and Brian as well. But to see all these people that are already doing what it is that you want to do successfully, that's an exciting feeling to give yourself that. Look, all of us have those moments where you have self-doubt, and when you put yourself around more and more people that are fighting that self-doubt daily and going out and winning those battles, it makes it that much easier to do that yourself. So I'm excited for that as well. Want to dig in a little bit and go back a little and ask, you have this really, really successful network marketing company. How do you then branch into how do you protect that, I guess, of not getting distracted from it, but still being able to go out and find new things to get involved with, as you said, to keep yourself leveling up? How do you keep that balance?
So here's the easiest way that I can explain it. I don't know if there's such a thing as balance. I just synergistically work everything together. I guess that's my word for tonight, synergism. So I've built Monate. It basically runs on its own. I just have to do my check-ins. I still have to focus, personally on what's going on, as far as, the leadership that we have, the people, making sure that they're on the right track, making sure that they're feeling supported, but it's systems. So we have the best systems. I had a heart issue a couple of years ago that I didn't know that I had. And I had to step away from my business completely for almost 2.5 months. I couldn't travel. I could show up on Zoom. It felt like like this was prior to COVID, but it felt like a pre-run to it, where, you couldn't travel, you couldn't get out, you couldn't do that. And that was really, really hard for me. But because, people understood, and I had to take a step back, I had to heal. And that was really hard for me to do, because I am a present person. This is what fuels me. It gives me energy. So when I feel like something comes into my path that says, okay, you have to do this, I have to allot time to to do that self-discovery process. So this was like with the CRM. It took me a year to build. And I had to devote more time to that. But I knew in the end, the result would be great for the business.
Love it.
Okay? Yep. Same thing when I was, authoring the books. You have to take time to do it because this is where I'm being told to go. Same with my podcast. I just built an AV studio. We had a bonus room that used to be my youngest daughter's school room when she was being taught here at home. And we flipped it and turned it into a podcast room because I've always wanted to have a podcast of my own, which I did for a while, but I really kind of sucked at it. And so we rebranded and built the room so I could have everything here that I want to do. Like literally, you guys, I never would literally have to leave my home ever, except for speaking gigs.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, that's how I divide and conquer my time. Everybody's like, well, how do you have time to do it? Because I prioritize. I mean, what is important to you? If you're not prioritizing, you're watching the idiot box or you're scrolling on social media and you're wasting all this time, which on average, that's 2 to 3 hours a day. How much more productivity could you have if you didn't waste that 2 to 3 hours a day?
Oh, yeah.
So I was thinking of I don't know if you've ever read this book. It was called The E-Myth Revisited. I think Michael Gerber is and all I can think of is reading that book when I'm listening to you. This idea of not just spending time doing your business, but spending time working, not doing the business of your business, but working on the fundamentals of your business. So you've been able to slowly work yourself. I had a mentor, one of my very first mentors actually in real estate. His favorite saying was, you should always be working yourself out of a job, right? And you built this system into Monette where you're able to kind of work yourself slowly to the true definition of an entrepreneur, right? Is you're watching the business. You're not working in the business, right? You're kind of in this bird's eye view, and it's given you the freedom to kind of go explore these other passions that you find.
Yep, exactly. So I would never want to step away from it fully, even though it runs on its own cylinders, because I love it. That's the main thing is the main thing. But what it's allowed me to do, it's allowed me to author the books. It's allowed me to build my speaking platform. It's allowed me to, build the CRM. It gave me all of these gifts, really gifts. And it's allowed me to pour into my personal development. So, I mean, I'm not throwing around names at all. I just really admire 2 men that have been profound. Well, actually 3. Stuart, who I started this with, he is my main mentor and that has taught me a lot. But I mean, John Maxwell and Todd Duncan, they've been mentoring myself and our other core leaders for the last 4 years. And I've learned so much from them. But that's allowed me to do this kind of stuff. So that in itself has given me a gift. And that gift I can go share with other people as I learn.
That idea, I love it, of just continuing to pump into your own self-development. Another mentor that I've had, his favorite saying is, the only way you can coast is downhill, right? So when you give up that, and I don't mean to get into an offshoot, but I think our political system, not our political system, our education system in our country sometimes ruins the idea of learning for kids. And so when we become adults, we don't want to learn anymore because it was such a miserable experience when we were kids. Where those of us that get into this journey and we realize that if you keep that learning process and you keep that personal growth, right, and look at what eventually becomes of it, right? Not easy, terrible struggles in the journey, but what's the end goal if you keep pouring back into yourself? And then, as you said, and then serving other people within that journey as well. It's such a motivating story to hear. And, certainly for me, gives me that, like, man, it's time to keep bucking up and keep doing the work and keep putting in that full, as you said, not wasting time. And, so easy to get distracted by the stupid things that aren't really improving your life. But can you go do those hard things that are really going to get you where it is you want to be?
Well, Thaddeus, you know that most people won't do the hard things. They're going to live in mediocrity. They're going to live in just getting by day. But you're exactly right. That is what the education system has taught, the major public. And I'm so glad that I got real smart with my kids a long time ago. And they've had educational experiences and personal development experiences that are very, very rare. The one thing that I will say is that there are more leadership programs happening in public education forums. Sean Acor has one. John Maxwell has one. There was someone else that came out with one the other day that's getting rave reviews, and it's escaping me. But it's about us changing, and that's one of my goals that I want to see happen in the next 5 years. It's actually on my vision board. I moved it out of the way, but
I love it.
It's on there. So I write a future letter to myself every year, and it goes 1, 5, and 10-year goals. In 5 years, I want to develop, and I want to be able to speak to more schools and, help our younger population with leadership skills, because they don't have it.
No,
they have none. They're taught how to be robots almost at this point. I won't go into that either, but there's just
we'll save that for another 45
exactly.
minutes. That one night.
Yeah, I just really want to come from a standpoint is that kids need more people to honestly pour into them, and not and I've always thought, and I'm even going to go back, even when my older kids were a lot younger, is that the education system was more of a babysitting opportunity for parents because they had to work full time, and that's not fair to anyone. The two cores that we have in life today is the core of the family and the core of entrepreneurism. So I really think that those go hand in hand. And when you teach your kids a better way, it's not probably easier, but it's a better way. And they can have something that they can give as a gift to other people and build legacy businesses to will on and to help others.
Yeah, I love that so much, man. I'm so glad that I got this opportunity. As I said when we first opened, I've been able to hear your story from Joe and from Steve. I hadn't had a chance to meet you personally yet. Looking forward now even more to getting to know you even better over the coming months. Mike Fallett just jumped on and put in a quick comment saying Tony's a beast, and he is absolutely 100% true. I'm going to go back and just again say thank you so much for sharing the time. I do want to say one real quick thing. You've been talking about CRM frequently, and sometimes we take it for granted. We have a lot of listeners on the show. That is customer relationship management software. For those of you who've never heard that terminology, CRM, absolutely critical for entrepreneurs that you have a system where you can keep track of all the people you're talking to, and it makes sure that nobody slips through the cracks. We know as entrepreneurs that the worst thing you can do is get somebody who wants to do business with you and forget to go back and reach out to them and make sure. So I wanted to just clarify, you had been talking about that, but I try and honor people's time. We are definitely going to schedule with you to come back and join us again. Your energy is just infectious. Such a great story to tell. And I know there's so many more things we can talk about, Toni. But again, just want to say we're so grateful for you jumping on and look forward to seeing more of you as you're a member of the Storage Syndicate.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you guys for asking me to be on. Super excited to see what the future holds. And I can't wait to get to know you better, to get to know, the people in the syndicate better, and just see how I can provide value and service. And number one, learn.
Yes.
I love that. Steve, as always, thank you. And Toni, so grateful to have had you. Everyone listening, if anybody has any questions or anything they'd like us to follow up with Toni, don't be afraid. This is going live on a bunch of different platforms. So just throw a question in there and we look forward to getting you guys answers. Couple quick announcements. Next week, Steve and I actually are not going to have a guest on next week. We're going to talk in-house a little bit about what's going on with legacy developers, give you guys some updates on the state of the storage industry right now. Obviously, a lot of turbulence in the greater economy. And we want to talk to you guys specifically about how it's affecting self-storage, what you guys that are involved, whether you're investors in legacy developers or you're in self-storage yourself, we're going to talk a little bit. Please come tune in next Wednesday at 7. Be ready with questions because we love to interact and answer any questions you guys might have. Give a little bit of our own take on what you might be asking. On the flip side, we're going to make that very interactive, and we're going to ask some questions to the audience, and we'll hope you guys are listening and will respond, because there's a lot of you guys who tune in every week who have a ton of experience in this space. Finally, on Monday, I kick off the 3-day self-storage site discovery challenge. Free, completely free. We're going to do that on Facebook. You can go to my Facebook page and register. Eric is our guy behind the scenes, is right on top of it. He just put the link on the screen, so you guys can register there. Incredibly excited for that. And guys, no joke, you're going to have an opportunity in that free 3-day challenge to earn a check of up to $25,000. I'll explain how that's going to happen right when we kick off that 3-day challenge. But it's a chance for you guys who maybe haven't jumped into real estate yet to really learn the ins and outs of the self-storage game. And man, a $25,000 check is not a bad opportunity to have some life-changing money there. So Toni, again, thanks for hanging on as we did our sign-off stuff. For all of you guys watching from the Storage Syndicate Spotlight, we really thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Bye.